Hi, beautiful people. My name is Wajid. I'm a speaker, healer, actor, and teacher, and you are listening to the Us People podcast featuring the fabulous, amazing Savia Rocks.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and today I'm humbled to have Wajid here with me, who is very creative, I must say, who is a speaker, healer, actor, teacher, and more recently, which I'm honored to say, an author. Wajid, thank you so much for taking your time to come on the Us People podcast. How are you?
Doing great, Savia. Thank you for inviting me on your show. It's a pleasure.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. I feel zen even before we've started, which is always nice. So I always ask every single guest that comes on my show this first question. And anybody who's listened to the podcast is sure going to know. My first question for you is, could you tell me a little bit about your background of where you grew up, but also how did that influence you to be the person who you are today?
I've led a very interesting and varied life, Savia, and I was born in Pakistan, and my parents moved to England when I was 3 years old, and we lived in the north of England near Manchester for about till the age of 10, and then I moved to London. They moved to London, and then I attended high school in the East End of London, in Hackney. From there, I got a formal education, got into the technical field, became a field service engineer for a large company based in Birmingham. So I used to go around southern England. And then from there, I I got the opportunity to move to America, which I did, primarily to Los Angeles, and was in Los Angeles for over 30 years. Got out of the technical field, got into acting and comedy.
Yeah, I like that.
Changed my whole concept. And then just recently I moved to North Carolina. So I'm based here in Raleigh now for the last few years. So that's where I'm at right now.
I have to ask you the question, what made you, because you have so many years and so many different things, but what actually made you transition over to comedy and voiceovers? Because this is something that I really want to know.
Great question, Savia. When I was in high school, I got up in front of the school and made everybody laugh. And I was 15 at the time, and my drama teacher, Frances McGee, she said to me, "You're a natural, get into comedy and acting, and go to an acting school." But my parents, especially my father, would have nothing to do with it. It was like math and science. They were immigrants, and they didn't understand creativity. So I kind of let it go, and it was in around 1997 when I was in LA, and my own spiritual guru, my yogi master, Dr. George King, passed away. And at that time, I had a little computer repair shop in Hollywood, and she said to me, well, I kind of got into a deep depression. So she said to me, well, you always wanted to do acting and comedy. Why don't you do that? Maybe get out of your depression. So I started taking stand-up comedy classes, found out I was still funny, even at a later age, and started hitting the open mics in the Laugh Factory comedy store. And then this woman comes into my shop, and I repair an Apple computer, and she kept looking at me, and I finally said, why do you keep staring at me? And she said, I'm a casting director. And I said, so I didn't know what a casting director was. And she said, well, let's see if we can get you an agent. So she got me an agent for commercials. I started booking commercials. And then from there, I got another agent, started booking parts in movies and sitcoms. So I guess it was meant to be.
Yeah, most definitely. If something is meant to be in your life, it will surely come to you. And even if you try and run away from it, it will run right back after you. But how did that make you feel, knowing that you were on this path and all of a sudden it changed? So you were in depression, and it was like a sign from somebody who was clearly looking out for you and said, do comedy.
Yeah, I really believe that our destiny sometimes is mapped out for us before we're even born.
I agree.
And we have to, and I think we were talking earlier, about life's experiences, and we go through tremendous ups and downs. In our cases these days, more downs than ups. But they're all challenges. They're all karmic challenges. I don't think they're designed to punish us. I think they're designed to make us wiser beings, because pain, they say, is the cornerstone of spiritual growth. So if we understand that, and you, me, and everybody on the planet has gone through a tremendous amount of ups and downs, but we're better people for it. Don't you agree?
I totally agree. I think I've been through enough to know that ups and downs have made me such a wiser but also peaceful person. And we're definitely going to get onto peace a little bit later. But my next question for you is, can you tell me who you see when you look in the mirror? But on the flip side of that question, has there ever been a moment in your life where you have looked in the mirror and not recognized the person staring back at you? How did that feel?
Great question. Many times I've put myself down. I've condemned myself for not doing things. I put myself down for mistakes and people I hurt in the past. And so, slowly I'm coming to terms. They say as you grow older, you become wiser.
Yes.
And so at one time, I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. Now I can. There's an inner peace, and that goes with, what I've been doing for many, many years, which is healing, mysticism, spirituality, following my own yogi master, Dr. George King, and his organization, the Ethereal Society. So today I can look at myself in the mirror and smile. And so for those who are facing these kind of challenges, just have faith, keep moving on, and everything. If you have the faith in whatever principle that you believe in, just keep the faith, and everything will work itself out, despite what you're going through. And I can attest to it, and so can you, Sabi. I can feel that for sure.
I'm humbled that you actually said that, because yes, most definitely I can. Most definitely. So I know you spoke about, I'm sure this next question, I know one of the influences that you are going to say, but if there were anybody in the world that you can say has been one of the biggest influences in your life for you to become the person who you are, who would you say and why?
Well, of course, it has to be my yogi master, who I discovered in London back when I was 16 years old. I was raised primarily as a Muslim. I went to the mosque, read the Quran, did the Arabic prayers. But as you know, in England at that time, I think things have changed, but they have Church of England schools, and I attended those where there was a Bible study, hymns, carols, and so I got the best of both worlds, both in Islam and Christianity, and I love both faiths. I I didn't care for the dogma. I like the leaders of the religions. I don't care for the dogma, and it was then that I found my own yogi master, and been following him for over 40 years now.
Wow, time flies. It's absolutely amazing when you know that you found something that you connect with. Obviously, for me, it's Buddhism and spirituality, which I love, and this is why I love talking to you, because I know that you'll understand exactly where I'm coming from with spirituality, awakening, empowerment, and all these things. But my next question for you is, talk to me more about spirituality, because this is something I would love to share with the listeners who are listening. Can you break down in your version, in your way, what spirituality means to you?
I heard a great statement recently that that religion is for those people who are trying very hard not to go to hell, and spirituality is for those who's already been there, you know. And so so spirituality is the molding of the soul through experience to raise the consciousness, the vibration. And you know, my yogi master said, and many others have said as well, that the only reason we're here on this planet, we're not here to suffer. You know, this is a beautiful classroom. The suffering and the conditions that are on this planet is our own doing. We can't blame any divine source or any God for the conditions that are on our planet. But the only reason we're here is to achieve high states of consciousness, nirvana, cosmic consciousness, and then eventually break the cycle of reincarnation, which I'm a strong believer of. I think everybody in the world needs to know that's a truth that also has been the higher beings that contacted my master have said that reincarnation has to be reintroduced back to the planet. And so and then we ascend to from cosmic consciousness to higher levels, and that's our heritage. It's not to suffer, it's not to be in pain, it's not wars and pollution and all these things that we created. This is our own doing, this is our own karma. And so we have to make that change. Nobody can make it for us. We as an entity, as mankind as a whole, have to make that change. No more, well, it was them, it's because of them, and blaming others. It's time right now, with the state of the world as it is and the great change that is coming, a beautiful change that is coming. It's time for us to roll up our spiritual sleeves and take action for everybody.
The question that I do want to add, which most probably adds on to what you've just said, is how do we as human beings or as spiritual beings, the ones who have the power to be able to control society and the ones who don't have the power to control society or get it to a place where it can be beautiful, what would your advice be to those beings in the world to overcome the people who have the power, so that it's not that we're fighting against them, it's just that we can come to a place of peace? How do you believe that we as beings can come to that place?
Well, you know, most people know now that over the centuries we've been molded and hypnotized, and you know, by the few who control the power, through media, through religions, and through many other ways. And so I think we've come to a stage now where people have talked. They said the Mayan calendar finished in 2012.
Yes.
It wasn't actually the end of the world. It was actually the beginning of a new age for mankind. Astrologically speaking, we're all influenced by the planets, and this is now the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius is pushing mankind to raise its vibrations and to be of service. And so the next move is going to be a spiritual mental revolution, a peaceful one, because we know that wars, bombing other people, and you know, thoughts are real. So sending thought energy vibrations to people that, you know, that we can't stand hasn't worked. You know, yes. As Mahatma Gandhi said, you know, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. And so now what we have to do is we are spiritual beings in physical bodies. It's not the other way around. And so we've regressed over the centuries. We were actually highly cultured, highly spiritual at one time, you know, studying the true history of mankind, civilizations that we belong to. And now what we need to do is draw that inspiration, you know, instead of looking down at our iPhones to the gloom and doom, yes. We need to look up to the skies, to the heavens, and look for inspiration. And the only solution, and anybody can do it. Dr. King was asked back in the 70s when they had the oil embargo and there was this shortage of oil, And he said, well, there's only one energy crisis on this planet, and that's the spiritual energy crisis. He says, if you solve that crisis, all other crises between countries and even in your personal life will automatically be resolved. So if your listeners may find this something like new in their lives, but what we need to do as a healer, I've been channeling spiritual energy or pranic energy that comes from the sun. So the same energy that the Master Jesus used to help heal, the sick, make the blind see. This is a very tangible energy. And if your listeners, want to, all they have to do is visualize a brilliant white light coming down through their brain, over their shoulders, and just send it out from the heart, the psychic heart center in the palms of the hand, and send it out as a stream to help everybody on this planet. So that's the calling these days. And if people are new to this, I belong to a group that we do this on a daily basis. There are people over 50 countries, and we send out the light. And so if people are interested, it's free. They can go to the website 12blessings.org and learn how they can channel this energy. So to me, Savia, and to anybody who's listening, that's the only way that we as a people will be empowered to because we're all connected. And
Yes.
that's the problem. Right now there's hatred between races, there's hatred between religions, there's political division. Everywhere you look, there's just division. Everybody is fighting against each other, and the time has come now to unify on a spiritual. And again, I don't believe on a religious, because I believe religions have caused more murder and mayhem through history than probably any other
I agree.
phenomena. But politics aside, but it's we're all connected. We're all in different positions, different races, different religions. We're all here for experience, but we all bleed red. And now it's time to send out white light.
You're my kind of people. You're definitely my kind of people. Can you talk to me about, I love this question because for me, I practice this every day. So could you tell me about the difference in your opinion of what unconditional love is and conditioned love? What do the two mean to you, and how do you use your energy to channel the two?
Well, unconditional love is from the mother to the child, because the child will never be able to repay what the mother has done for the child. That's one aspect of unconditional love. Another aspect of unconditional love is I believe, along with many people, including most indigenous tribes, the so-called savages around the planet, people in Africa, Australia, the Native Americans, they believe, they know that our Mother Earth is a highly spiritual goddess who's sustained us for many of years, and all we've done is rape her for her resources and polluted her body. Again, that's a cosmic aspect of unconditional love. In these days, in society, generally, most people will do something on the rebound. Well, okay, if I did this for you, well, I expect something from you. And so that is conditional love. So unconditional love is sending out the spiritual power to to all life streams and not expecting anything back. But at the same time, when you do send that out by the law of action reaction, all the energy you send out has to, by law, come back to you. So it's a double. It's a win-win situation. So you send out hate, and it will affect the auras of the people that you hate. It will damage them. And so part of us is not only control our physical aspects, is also control our mental and psychic and spiritual aspects. And again, this is our heritage to send out the light.
See, I love that. I think some people might find this hard to understand because spirituality comes from within. The energy comes from within and it comes out. Which brings me to your book also, which is, talk to me about your book, because this is something that I do want to understand. I want to understand your mindset of why you feel that there was a gap in all the books that you've possibly read for you to write this book, which I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, okay, is the struggle for world sanity, if that's correct.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's such a strong title. It says so much just in the title. But could you tell me about the book? But also, how was you feeling when you wrote this book? And what energy did you want to channel to people for them to buy this book and read it?
Yeah, it's a labor of love. I don't think any author makes any money writing books these days. There's thousands of them out there. And so the inspiration wasn't to be a famous writer and make money, because that would probably not going to happen anyway. But when I did write the book, again, it's the creative process. When you write, it didn't take me very long to write the book, because with writing or any creative process, you can't force it. It has to come through. Yes. And so it flowed through, and I wrote it actually 3 years ago. Over 3 years ago, and never really got it published, and it just took a while, and then finally, with the help of a friend and a few other people, I got it published last year. And it was very interesting that when it got published, it reached number one bestseller on Amazon, for two categories: first, mysticism and spirituality, and second was UFOs. So of course it didn't stay number one, but it showed me, Savia, that people are very interested in these subjects.
Yes.
And so certain experiences I had at a younger age, I never relayed to them. I had a unique encounter with a UFO when I was 18 in England. And again, I kept all these to myself. I had experiences with my yogi master. And then also I go into our past, our true past, our present, and our future, and what we have to do as a race to rise. And there's a sense of urgency right now for writing the book, because this is the beginning of the end for mankind. And if people don't, raise their vibration. Another aspect of this rise is also that the Mother Earth is also raising her vibrations.
Yes.
And she every year is being told to go back to her evolutionary status, which she regressed by taking on mankind 18 million years ago.
Yes.
So the ionosphere is slowly coming down. The cosmic rays are intensifying. So don't believe that all this climate change is to do with carbon emissions and pollution. That's just a small aspect of it. This tremendous weather changes is conforming to her changing as well. And we've been told by the higher beings that contacted my master and my master himself that in the new age to come, there will be a temperate climate. There won't be 4 seasons. So around the planet, it will be a temperate climate similar to that of in Hawaii. And so these are the conditions that are happening right now. Over the centuries, there will be a beautiful weather pattern around the planet. And a new age that's been seen by the seers of old, of where there's not going to be wars, there's not going to be countries or a political system or nuclear weapons. All that will be dispensed, and so it's up to us to earn that place in this new age that is coming.
I've noticed that people, especially because of the weather lately, people are finding it extremely hard to cope in hot weather. When the weather changed, like you said to me, the weather's going to be like Hawaii, for example. How do you feel that people are going to cope knowing that the climate in years to come, and it's not too far from now that this will happen? How do you feel that people are going to be able to survive? because there's so many things in the world that are happening. There's the food use that we're doing because we're over eating, they're saying, for example, and then there's the weather, and then there's so many other aspects of things. How do you feel in even 20 or 30 years from now? How do you feel that people will be surviving? What do you think people will be doing? Do you think it will be the same?
Well, it's going to probably get worse before it gets better. The ice caps are melting. There will be flooding to certain countries. There will be flooded, and so there is going to be a lot of turmoil. So in this turmoil, there's still hope. We've never been left alone. And so, again, the answer is to send out the spiritual energy. If we send out the spiritual energy, we can help the climate change. We can align ourselves with this vibrational, this spiritual vibration that's occurring. So again, we have to just keep on sending out the light and have the faith that things work themselves out, and they will work themselves out.
That's true.
But you're right. Overpopulation, how what we're doing to domesticated animals, all these things, the endless wars,
Yes.
all this strife. It's either I believe that it's either we conform or we will. Well, it's not what I believe. It's what I've been told based on my own research. And again, I'm not here to throw any ideology to your listeners.
Of course.
I just said to your listeners, do what I did and do your own research. Keep an open mind. Use your intuition, which I wrote in the book is the best lie detector ever created. And make your own decisions. And so, for those who don't conform, I don't think they will be allowed to live on this planet. I think they will reincarnate on another younger world in this solar system. That's my belief.
Which brings me on to the next subject nicely, where I talk about forgiveness. So forgiveness is such a powerful tool I believe we should practice, because it helps us as beings to be more at peace and kindness and unconditional love, which we have spoken about. But what does forgiveness mean to you, and how important do you feel forgiveness is in everybody's lives to have?
That could be a 4-hour subject, forgiveness, because it's so powerful. It's critical on the spiritual path. Forgiveness. A great example was the great Master Jesus, who forgave those who put him on the cross. That's the ultimate forgiveness. I think it has to start personally with forgiving myself, and being kind to myself, and start to love myself, because you can't forgive anybody else if you haven't forgiven yourself.
That's
so
true.
I had to start with the inner searching, and look at my own defects and my own misunderstandings. So that has to start, and then from there, reaching out, and then forgiving those who first of all I wronged, and then forgiving those who wronged me. So you always have to look at your part. You can't just say, that. I'll forgive those who wronged me. No, you have to start with forgiving those that you wronged as well. So again, we're human. We all have weaknesses. We all make mistakes. And then it has to be on a global scale. Countries and political ideologies and religions are not willing to forgive.
Yeah.
And they're not willing to forgive. They hold on to these resentments. They hold on to these angers. And I heard it's like, anger and resentment is like taking poison and hoping the other person dies, And so we have to, again, an aspect of raising our vibration is that once we open up the channel in our heart center, I think forgiveness kind of automatically happens, because a lot of the likes and dislikes and all those go out of the window once you get onto a spiritual vibe, which I'm sure you've experienced yourself, and your listeners have experienced in meditation. So going within is just as important as going with as sending out. So it's a balance of both. We can't always go into within because that becomes selfishness. But it's important to go within, maybe go into nature, recharge your batteries, become one with the Mother Earth. Those things are very important. And then at the same time, send these fruits of your wisdom out to other people who are languishing in their own misery.
I love that. I totally love that. One question I do love to ask people, which I don't really hear very much on any show really, is could you tell me, who do you believe has been one person who has given you the best chance in life for you to be the person who you are today?
I think there's been inspiration from masters, from teachers, and the thing is, you can listen to all the cosmic truth that you want, and you can listen to self-realization tapes, or you can listen to inspiration. But in the end, we're all sparks of the divine. In the end, the only person that can really make a change is yourself.
True.
And so, it requires effort. People are not willing to make effort because the spiritual path is hard. It's not easy. So the person that I would say is my higher self, my higher power, that's within me. And so if we listen to this still small voice within us that tells us what's right or wrong and be guided by it, we can raise ourselves up from many, many situations which are baffling us, which we're struggling through. And I don't know anybody on the planet who's not going through some kind of challenge right now, if it's not in health or money or relationships or whatever. Everybody's going through a challenge right now. And again, it's a case of, drawing strength. And all the great teachers have said that we have to draw the strength from within.
Yes.
And once we draw that strength from within, we can channel it out and make ourselves better people, and also help raise other people as well.
Can you tell me about a time where you have been through an obstacle in your life, but the fact that you have your book, how did your book help you with an obstacle that is related to your life?
It's very interesting. A few years ago, I had an accident. I had a concussion, which actually messed me up many ways, and it was while I was going through that. It was one of the reasons I came to North Carolina to recoup and stay with family. But I published the book at the same time.
Everything happens for a reason.
And I published the book, started getting interviews, and it was actually a good way of helping in my recovery. That I didn't think of myself. I wrote the book so that other people can be inspired. So when people are going through, like if you're going through an injury or a disease, if you have cancer, or if all these things, if you're going through that, my suggestion is, what I did is, like when I had my concussion, I sent out prayers to all those who have brain injuries around the world. And if I went through a lot of fear, anxiety, depression, and so I sent out power to those who are going. So whatever you're going through, send out energy to those thousands of that were also going through the same that you're going through. So detach from yourself, go out and send that power out. So if you're in fear, send out energy to those who are in fear. And again, by law, all that energy comes back. And when you do that, it actually makes your burden a lot more lighter.
True.
than when you just always stuck in self and into the why me and the victim mode. And we can always go into that, but the spiritual path is about bravery and sending out power and taking action. And some people are not willing to do that. I could have easily stayed in bed for 12, 14 hours,
True.
which I did at one time. And then eventually I had to say, you know what, I gotta take care of this. So it comes back to the old saying, God helps those who help themselves.
That's true.
And again, have the faith. And so having gone through that, which I don't want anybody to go through, I also helped my sister who was going through cancer, and I gave her healing and she went into remission. So all these things are very, very important to do, is to get out of self. And the less you think about yourself and think about others, automatically things get better for you.
I love that. I really do love that. Talk to me about yoga, because this is another subject I would like to get onto. How do you feel that yoga and meditation help in the spiritual form?
Well, of course, yoga means union with God.
Yes.
And my yogi master spent over 10 years after the war. He was a section leader in the London Fire Brigade. And he, after the war, all this suffering really affected him. And then premonitions from his past, he got into serious yoga study to the point where he was doing yoga practice, not just hatha, physical yoga, but breathing, mantra, where he got into deep states of consciousness. And, to the point where he could eventually, he did it for 10 years. He was doing 8 to 9 hours a day on top of his regular job, which at that time was a London cab driver. And then eventually he reached to the point where he was actually contacted by beings from other worlds and were relayed messages, which which is a tremendous amount of hope and inspiration. So the yoga is a complete science. And what the beings or the cosmic masters from the other dimension, other planets, they said that in the future there'll be, for mankind, in order to evolve and become healthy in many ways, mentally, physically, and spiritually, yoga is the true science of well-being,
Yes.
of inner being. And so they said that yoga, they said chromotherapy, which is the healing of the color of light, homeopathy, all these things, these natural it's important. Medicine is important. I think drugs are important. Hospitals are important, but a lot of the medicines have terrible side effects.
Yes.
But the natural way, herbs, spiritual healing, yoga, all these things will be the new medicine for the new age. I don't think they will have the kind of medicine that we have right now, which I know in America is all about making money.
Yes.
And it's nothing to do with compassion.
Yes.
So
yes.
If you don't have insurance in this country, you're in big trouble. So
which I've seen, and it saddens my heart to know that they would rather let somebody die because you haven't got insurance or money to pay. And the world never used to be like that before. It was just about saving somebody's life.
Yes.
Making sure they live to tell their story and have their journey. But now, because of, like you said, things have to get worse before they get better. So we have to go through this transition in the world to make people realize that wealth is not important. The only wealth you need is in your heart and in your being. But people of power manipulate people to make you think that money is power, and that's not true. This is just my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm correct. Like you said, go out and do your research, go out and have experiences in life, and these will help you because they've helped me. But from what I've seen on a day-to-day basis, I see a lot of being manipulated. It could be by social media, it could be by politics, like you say, it could be by anything. And what they do, news, for me, they inflict fear into people. And what does fear do? Fear makes people comply. You'll comply to what people say and you'll follow. And there's so many things I can go on about. Maybe I could talk about this for 4 hours. But there's so many things that I could go on about. But that's definitely what you said is true. So what is the best advice you have ever received from someone, and how has it helped you through your journey through life?
Well, my master said that the greatest gift that you can give anybody, the greatest gift you can ever give anybody, is wisdom. And those who hide the truth are causing, causing a very bad cosmic crime by hiding the truth. And he also, when he went up on the platform, he always made a solemn oath before he's created that he would speak the truth. He said, if you want to know the truth, you have to speak the truth. And made him very, very unpopular. Truth these days makes people unpopular. Lies actually make people popular.
Yeah.
So we have to differentiate between truth and lies. And I also agree with you, Savi, that fear is being used as a weapon.
Yes.
By the darker forces. I believe there is a battle behind the scenes between the forces of darkness and the forces of light. And so fear is a weapon to control the masses, to keep them in fear, which will keep them under control. So we have to. And another thing, another quote that I heard, which I think is beautiful as well, is that the biggest sin on this planet is ignorance.
Yes. Oh,
because people do things out of ignorance. And so if they were enlightened, if they were given the wisdom, like the wisdom of the truth of reincarnation, they would think twice before they went to war. If somebody told them to go to war, thinking that the person they're going to murder could have been their brother or sister or mother or father in their last life. So these are the things that mankind needs to be given is wisdom.
I like that. I definitely do. What are you most proud of that you stand for as a being on this world?
I'm proud that I can be of service. I have tools in my life that I used to watch TV and think, how can I help suffering children? How can I help stop these wars? And so I'm proud that I've received these teachings through my yogi master and my chosen path, which is the Ethereal Society, that now I don't have to feel despondent when I see crisis in the world. I can send out light, and I can honestly say to myself that I'm doing, because again, one thing your listeners can do, they can go and stand in front of a mirror, raise their hands, and send this white light to the mirror. It will reflect from the mirror, and you can feel a tingling around your fingers and your aura. So this is not a hocus pocus thing. This is a very tangible energy, a different octave from electricity. So it is a real energy that is really critically needed right now. And so I'm proud that I had the opportunity that I can send out this power, which again, every man, woman, and child can also do as well on the planet.
Most definitely. I'm a big music fan, and I know you are very creative too. If there was one song that you could think of that you would say is the soundtrack of your life, what song would you choose But also, why would you choose that particular song?
The first thing that came into mind was Imagine by John Lennon.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's just, I just used my intuition, and that's the first thing that came in.
I like that.
Was Imagine. And we have to imagine a world that will be living together in peace and harmony. We have to visualize that there will be no wars, that there will be no pollution, that there will be no weaponry, and all these things will be transmuted. But it starts from the mind. Imagination, I've been told, is our greatest creative faculty, because everything on this planet that we see was imagined first. It started in the mind of somebody.
That's true.
The microphone you're talking to, the Zoom connection, all these things were started in the mind or the imagination of somebody and brought it into material manifestation. So the more we imagine, the more we visualize creative things, they will eventually, they say, have to manifest themselves physically.
Yes,
on the material plane.
I love that. It's, you know what? It's the first time somebody has actually emphasized that in a form or in a way that people can understand it. Because I know there's a lot of people in the world where they don't understand necessarily the creativity that maybe me or you will have in order to have a craft and build something and then make it realistic and come to life. Some people just think it just comes out of somewhere, and where does that person get that imagination from? But I love the fact that you actually took time to explain that so that people can understand it. See, if you were stuck on an island and I said to you, you are allowed to bring with you one activist, one president, and one musician, who would you bring to have a conversation with?
Probably Pamela Anderson, because I'll be lonely.
We went from John Lennon to Pamela Anderson.
You gotta keep it light. You can't make it serious all the time, Xavier. Come on.
Hey, I know this. I'm a comedian at heart, so I know. I would have said someone else, but hey, well, listen, you won't have problems sleeping. I tell you right now, you won't have no problem sleeping. You won't even need a blanket. You'll have pillows. You'll have pillows. What can I say? And this is how we lighten the mood. See, I like it. This is so you'll have Pamela Anderson, right?
Laughter is the best medicine. So cancer patients, they did a survey, and cancer patients, when they watched comedies and laughter and fun, they heal better.
Of course you do.
So when everything is down, look up YouTube on some Tommy Cooper shows or something, Malcolm and Wise, or one of those shows, and have a good belly laugh. It's good for the mind and soul.
I'm still thinking about your answer. I know what I'm thinking about now is pillows. Hey, that's fine with me. So you'll just take Pamela Anderson because you'll get lonely. So you don't want no activists.
No, I definitely don't want an activist on the island. Absolutely no.
What about musician? Because since you're with Pamela and you're going to get lonely, you need someone to play you some kind of music on there.
Probably George Harrison. I love George Harrison. I would have loved to have, I think his music was awesome as well.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of it now, actually.
I like these sporadic questions out of the blue. I like that.
No, it's cool. It's nice to be spontaneous in life. Everybody's different. Some people like to have everything prepared. Some people like to have a structure.
Yeah.
But I can't do structures. Not all the time. So if you had an unlimited amount of money, What do you believe you would change in the world?
Well, the people who control the money, I heard that if you control the money, you control the world, and the world runs on money. And so this was actually asked of my master once, if he had unlimited amount of money, he said that he could use that influence politically, because with money is how you get on in power. The political sense, you don't these days, it's not about voting, it's how many millions of dollars you can raise in order to affect the vote. And I'm not talking about any particular country, I'm talking about the whole world. That's how it works.
True.
And money is power. And so he said he would use that influence of the money that he got to stop nuclear proliferation, to stop pollution, and create things that are beneficial for mankind. I mean, it's a sad state of affairs that the greatest brains, the greatest scientific brains on this planet, are all focused on the new weaponry. How much destruction they can create, on how faster these missiles or weapons can be. So it's a real shame. It's a real shame. That I would agree with my master. I would use that influence to the money to influence a change in the policies of the world for the better.
I like that. I wish there was a way that we could bring your master back, because he sounds epic.
Well, he hasn't gone. I think all the great masters of this world that have come, people like Jesus, Buddha, if you want to follow any political leader,
Yes.
Follow these. That's what the cosmic masters that contacted my master said. They said, we don't bring anything new. Go back to the spiritual laws, not the religious laws, the spiritual laws of thou shalt not kill, be kind to one another. All these great teachers, Buddha, Patanjali, Lao Tse, Krishna, I Ching.
Yes.
These are the leaders of the world. Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes.
Martin Luther King Jr. I mean, these are the ones who talked about nonviolence, who talked about and all the teachings are the same. If you study any of the religions, they're all the same. They were just given in different eras, different cultures, different times, but all the teachings are exactly the same.
It's true.
And we just have to go back to that, our own ways. We don't even have to believe in a divine source. The cosmic masters, like I say, who man these vehicles that we talk about, flying saucers or UFOs, which again is another subject on its own, but they're actually beaming down energies to mankind on individual and collective basis. And so they want us to raise ourselves up to the beings, the gods, because that's what we were at one time. We were gods, and we just regressed. And they're asking, come rise and join us and become the gods that we're supposed to be. Again, we're not supposed to be in this misery. We created it ourselves.
I can't wait for it to change. I'm hopeful to know that it will change. I'm just waiting for the when and to see the change. But I'm sure we're seeing the change right now in front of our eyes. And sometimes we don't always realize it, but the change is there. So that's definitely something I'm excited about seeing. If there was advice that you could give to individuals in the world, like you said, who could possibly be going through something and feel like they're by themselves, feel like they're stuck, feel like they need help, feel like they don't exist in the world, what would your humble advice be to those people, to tell them there is support, there is light, there is love, and there is guidance out there for them?
Well, having been through a lot of loneliness and despair myself, and most people have gone through that in their lives, I can just tell your listeners, look, you're never alone. I think we're always been watched. We've been watched through the centuries by beings that are greater than us. We can't be alone because we have within us a higher aspect of our. We're not just, we're different aspects of our bodies, and we have a higher power or inner divine consciousness. Some people talk about the Brahma within. So we can't be alone if we know that we have a higher power that is within us. And again, despair, loneliness, fear, anxiety, depression, all these things are an aspect of our especially on the spiritual path. We've been told we have the valleys, the deep valleys, but we also have the peaks, and it's a case of going through the deep valleys, knowing that it will not last forever. We're not given anything we can't handle. That's the law.
I agree
that we're
with
not
that.
given anything we can't handle. Although it does seem overwhelming. At one time, I thought I was just lost, but I kept my faith. I kept sending out the energy. I kept thinking about others. Getting into service and getting out of your head is a good thing. And, for those who are going through tremendous pain and suffering right now, just remember that it's not meant to last forever. And if you can reach out and help somebody else, it will help ease the burden. And loneliness is a terrible disease right now. Psychologists have actually categorized it as a disease, and there's tremendous loneliness. I mean, people can have 1,000 friends on Facebook and still feel lonely.
True. That is so true. That is so true.
So that interaction, hopefully now that COVID is, eventually going away, that we've been in isolation for a year has caused a tremendous amount of anxiety and depression. So again, interacting, exercise and socialize, those are things that are very important.
My last question for you is where can we find you on all your social medias? Where can we find your book? I remember you said Amazon, but there might be other places where we can find you.
I'm working on an author website. It hasn't. My friend is making it for me, so I can't give that out right now. But I have a personal email if people want to contact me, which is Wajid, WAJID, the number 4 GK @gmail.com. So they can contact me there if they have any personal questions. And of course, the book, Struggle for World Sanity, is available on Amazon, on Kindle, print, and audiobook, which I narrated myself. So.
See, I love when people do that. See, and that's exactly because you did voiceovers, so that would be perfect.
Yeah.
That would be perfect. I'm going to listen to that. I'm definitely going to listen to that. Wajid, I want to thank you so much for taking your time to find me, also to find me and come on the Us People podcast. It's been an absolute spiritual journey, which I am abundantly grateful for. I appreciate you, and I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and your kindness on the Us People podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Savia. It was a real pleasure.
Perfect, guys. I want to thank you so much for listening to the Us People podcast. And please remember, you can subscribe and listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and any other platform that you prefer listening to. Please also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also donate to the Us People podcast on the Savia Rocks website, or simply just type in paypal.me/Us People podcast. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Stay happy, stay positive, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another.
I think it was beautiful. I think we were on the heart energy vibe together. It was very beautiful. Yeah, we just, I resonated with you before I even met you. I just picked it up. So, you know, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I love your energy, your creativity. It's beautiful.